Hey folks, Lee back here once again. How y'all doing? Hope everyone's doing well tonight, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you're at. But I hope you all had a good week this week. I had a good week. I had a busy work week this week, but still, good time at work. Good day at work, just being working and stuff. But anyway, guys. Continuing with my Batman marathon, we are now on phase 2 of the TV shows of Batman, and I've been on Batman the Animated Series, which I gave my thoughts / favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series Volume 1, that's on my channel. Now, continuing with the Batman marathon with Batman the Animated Series, I am now giving you in this video my thoughts / favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series Volume 2, which I think ran from 92 to 93. So, this is Volume 2. I'll show you a little artwork. A little bit of artwork on this, which I like. And of course the episodes, which I'm not going to get into all that. But, I probably showed that in a TV show function video a long time ago, so. But, really what I thought of Volume 2, though, is I love the season. It gives the first one, well, I would say definitely, some of the episodes I do think are okay on it, but I do have there are a lot of great favorite episodes, great episodes in this season, in my opinion. But I enjoy both Batman Volume 1 and 2. I think they're both great, but that's just my opinion. You do get some new characters in this season, like we finally get the Riddler, finally get him, and we get Barbara Gordon. Commissioner Gordon's daughter in this season, but she's not Batgirl. I don't think that happens till Volume 3. So, and you got some brand new episodes and, new idea, new concepts of episodes and new plots of episodes, which are really good in my opinion. And I've written down my favorite episodes on the paper, so I'll go ahead and get into that. I'm using my newer phone here, which sometimes turns off, so please be patient with me, but I'll go ahead and get to it because I know it's like 9:30 or something like that at night, and I don't want to be up too late, but I'll go ahead and start my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series Volume 2, so enjoy. First favorite is called Perchance to Dreams. This episode pretty much is about Perchance to Dream, where Batman is, of course, pursuing a group of criminals, but, during this mid fight with these criminals, he is blinded by a light, gets knocked out. Then he pretty much wakes up, and clearly there is no Batcave in Wayne Manor. And Alfred knows nothing of it. He just wakes up after fighting these criminals, talks about it, Alfred wakes him up. And the thing you realize is that there's no Robin either, and he's also engaged to Selena Kyle, Catwoman, but she's not Catwoman in this dream. And you also find out that Thomas and Martha Wayne, Bruce Wayne's parents, are alive in this universe. And although Bruce can't hardly believe it, he hardly just doesn't want to believe that he's in a dream, that he's living in someone else's life, that he's trapped in a reality, and he sees that somebody else is Batman. You just see him at Wayne Enterprises just talking with Selena, and then they see Batman taking some criminals down, and he's like, because he is Batman, so he thinks definitely something is up. He talks to Lisa Tompkins, who gives him some advice that, he's living somebody else's life. He's like, so the nightmare is over, and he kind of just accepts, just being Bruce Wayne, that he's not Batman anymore, and he's happy, wanting to hang out with his father, hang out with, that he's his parents now. But he discovers in the text newspaper that books from the library, it's Scrabble, it's like a mess, he can't read it, it's Scrabble. And in the dream, you can't really read, so he realizes that this is a dream, that, Bruce he's like, wait a minute, the books are not making sense, it's all a mess. He starts, kind of like a bookshelf, he starts tearing it down, and just realizing, he goes to Gotham Cemetery, because he blames Batman, knows that whoever this Batman is, not him, is setting him up. So he goes to a store, grabs like a hook, and ready to climb. And these police try to chase him down because say, Mr. Wayne, your parents are worried about you. And he gets away, and he goes to the top of this tower, saying, here I am. Come on, Batman, get me. And Batman comes and says, you're not well, Mr. Wayne. So Bruce has a fight with his Batman. Everyone takes the mask off, and of course it is Jarvis Tech, aka the Mad Hatter, who tells Bruce, it's your own Alice in Wonderland, your own little dream world. And, Bruce is like, this is no stupid dream, a stupid storybook. You're invading my life. How do I get out of this dream, Tech? He's like, there is no escape. The police will come here, you'll go to jail, you go to Arkham, you want to spend the rest of your dream world in Arkham? He's like, no. But in his dream to wake up, he just jumps off the building. He awakens up in the warehouse with Tech's dream machine in his head, and Batman takes him down, and Batman takes his henchman down, and he asks Mad Hatter, why'd you do this to me? And Mad Hatter says, why'd you do this to me? I'd be willing to give you anything you want, so you need to stay out of my dreams, just stay out of my life. And of course he gets arrested at the end, and Batman tells Gordon about the experience, just throws it down and it ends there. But what a great episode, in my opinion. Yeah. And then another favorite of mine is the Cape and the Cowl Conspiracy. You have a guy named Baron Chosak. Well, wait a minute. You have a guy named Josiah Wormwood, who's a master at setting traps for victims. You see him at the beginning tricking this guy to get this briefcase, and he pretty much puts the guy in quicksand and forcing him to give him the he does give him the case. And Baron Sundman, who's voiced by John Ross Davis, gets him a little bit about Batman at dinner party because Batman grabs him and questions him, and Batman tells him go on vacation. So Julius, of course, hires Wormwood to, he wants Batman's cape and cowl. And then this leads to Wormwood trying to trap Batman in a train, trying to say that there's a victim, a lady he needs to save, but Batman gets out of it. He tries to set up another trap for Batman. Batman, of course, is smart enough to get out of it, because Batman is also a master of art to get out of the trap, until eventually he traps Batman for good, with smoke clearing gas, almost ready to kill Batman. But Baron Jasik gives him one way to talk about his crime, how he got this guy to commit this crime or whatever. Just to run his mouth about what he does. He does get the cape and the cowl from Batman, but Batman has a mask on. And when he tells, he finds out Baron tells him about, the crime that he committed. He's like, what are you going to do with the cape and cowl? And spoiler, you find out that Baron Cusick is not him. It's actually Batman in disguise. And he's like, I'm going to put it on. And, Batman's like, day one, I've been fooling you. So apparently Baron Cusick just went to vacation. So Batman had to set him up. Him and Batman fight a bit. They're in a weight room. They're fighting with dumbbells. Tries to kill Batman on weights, but Batman is able to fight him off and take him down. But overall, really interesting episode. It's interesting to see him go up against somebody who is a master of art, putting his victims in traps. That was interesting. But at the end, he ends up getting tricked by Batman and defeated. So anyway, that was cool. Alright. And the next favorite is Robin's Reckoning, Part 1 and 2. Beat opens with Batman and Robin this is basically episodes about Robin's origins, Dick Grayson's origins of how he became Robin. You know, how he met Bruce Wayne and stuff. But they do it perfectly here. There's a stake at the construction site, Batman and Robin are fighting these guys. I like when Robin is kind of being a smart ass. He can be a wise ass. Tita's guy's like, come on, you can do it. And he's about to beat this guy up. And Batman fights with this guy as well. Eventually when they catch one bad guy, they scare him. They interrogate him. Named Billy Murn. But Robin's questioning him like, who's Billy Murn? Who really is the guy? And, you know, Batman tells him to stop, Robin. Go. You know, he tells him to stay out of it. And you end up finding out, of course, it discovers that mainly that's an alias for Tony Zuko. Someone he crossed paths with 9 years. And pretty much someone who killed his parents. Dick Grayson was, of course, in a circus with his family. They were they were like acrobats. I forget what you wanted to call it. The Flying Graysons. And, you know, I like seeing, you know, young Dick Grayson, you know, he's got like an elephant who teases him sometimes. He eventually like sees Tony Zuko one day. Tony Zuko like pushes him out of the way because he's threatening to take money or trying to gamble with the ringmaster if he doesn't pay money for protection. So doing that with the Flying Graysons, get ready to do their act where somebody cuts the rope working for Tony Zuko. And in doing that, Dick sees his parents like, you don't see this. Bruce Wayne is there too, and Bruce sees it and saying, you know, who's he there for? You know, who's going to raise him? And, you know, to his him home, he stays with Bruce. And there are moments though where they talk about their pain. And Bruce can relate because Bruce also lost his parents, because his parents were murdered too. So let's just say the two are pretty much the same. But, you know, he's a material witness too. Who knows Tony Zuko is? Batman eventually tracks Zuko down at Arnold Stromberg's mansion. That character Stromberg was in the episodes Never Too Late, but this is before Stromberg's redemption, you know. So, but Batman questions him and Zuko, and pretty much Stromberg, not one of the Batman, you know, involved in his crimes or whatever, tells Zuko, get the hell out, basically. Yeah. Bruce does talk to Alfred, you know, because he's going out late nights. But he says he has me, but of course he's going out as Batman, but Dick doesn't know that yet. But, you know, there's a moment where, you know, he can't talk about the pain, and him and Bruce give each other a hug, you know, which was a sad moment, kind of like Bruce becomes like a father figure to Dick, you know. Yeah. Robin, you know, and then, you know, the president Robin tells the Batman that he needs to turn his, this is mine. He's like, no, Robin, stay out of it. He's like, over and out. So Robin gets on his red motorcycle and leaves, and ending into part 2. Batman ends up tracking Tony Zuko. He wants to probably kill Zuko to avenge his parents' death. You know, Bruce and Dick play like a fencing match, which is cool. Dick takes matters in his own hands. Young Dick Grayson goes out, you know, in public, well, in the streets, you know, handing papers, you know, like, have you seen Tony Zuko, to people. He helps this lady out, I think her name was like Gigi or whatever. Well, he said she's probably, they wouldn't say here, but she's probably like a prostitute. But Dick Grayson helps her, and he's trying to find Tony Zuko. They find Zuko both at the same time, but Dick says like, "Oh, I hate you," you know, and Dick Grayson's like, he's trying to attack him. but he throws him to a spillway, into a water current, and Batman jumps, of course, to save him. And he tells him, let's go home, and of course he doesn't know who Batman is until, eventually they go back to the Batcave, and Bruce takes off his mask, revealing that he's Batman. And I guess that's how he becomes Robin. Robin, uses a phone tracker because Batman tries to take it away from him, but Batman, I found Zuko once in a while and I'll do it again. Zuko is suspicious about Batman being on his tail, gets a machine gun and just out the door because he thinks powering out the ceiling. I think probably shoots Batman in the leg, but you don't see no blood. Batman's able to take some of these men down who are chasing him down, and they get on this fair ride or whatever, and Zuko's trying to shoot Batman, almost going to shoot his own man. And so, hey boys, life you choose, huh? But Robin shows up and just grabs Zuko like this right, and just drags him. Robin attacks him, and is just so angry, giving him a look. He's ready to about kill Zuko. Robin, don't do it. He's like, Batman, you're this and that. I should never listen to you. He's like, I'm sorry, Batman, I didn't mean that. Then he just throws Zuko, decides that, he can't do this, he can't kill him. This won't bring his parents back. And, pretty much Zuko is just scared of Robin. He just, Robin scares him. And at the moment at the end that he tells him that he was glad that he kept him out of it. He would fear that Robin would be killed, but he also feared that maybe Robin would kill, so I think he was trying to protect him. That's why he did it, that's what Batman tells him. But overall, great episode. They really did a good job with Robin's backstory, so really one of the best series episodes in my opinion, Robin's Reckoning. Part 1 and 2 both are great. And then, another favorite of mine is The Laughing Fish. Pretty much, you have these fishermen capturing fish, and they have Joker smiles on them. So you ever like crazy toxin that affects only fish, mutating them into Joker fish. Then he targets an innocent man to copyright it, and the man refuses because it might be the law, and Joker threatens him, and Harley sprays him with this gas that's actually Joker gas, but the guy thinks it's perfume, but it's actually Joker gas, because Batman is able to sneak into these cops who are trying to protect the guy. And so, they're able to shoot like a rocket fish of the gas to the guy, and the guy gets attacked until Batman, sprays him. Then they gotta protect another guy who Joker is threatening, and, they shoot another rocket. And Batman is in disguise as the guy that Joker's supposed to attack. But Bullock is like, he doesn't like Batman. He's like, tells Gordon, this is a waste of time. I'm gonna go find him on my own. But in doing that, he gets captured by the Joker, and you see the shark that has a smile. But he's got Harvey Bullock basically like a fish, on a hook, and literally has him on a hook. He's about to feed him to the shark. Till Batman comes to save him. Batman, uses a chain to kind of like put in the shark's mouth and fight with the shark. Joker makes a joke about, maybe I'll put burgers in my Joker gas next. That's one Happy Meal, which I thought was funny. Joker. First of all, plays a trick on Harley Quinn, because she hates fish. He's like, eat it, Before he can capture Joker, at the end, Joker tries to jump to the water, and eventually you think he gets eaten by his own shark. You see, like, the Joker cord and Harley crying, but of course, Joker didn't die. But overall, Laughing Fish, that was a fun episode. Mark Hamill was always fantastic in these episodes. I always love watching a Joker episode, mainly because of him. Then another favorite of mine is called Cat Scratch Fever. This is where Selena Kyle, who's been in jail for a bit, of course, is Catwoman. She's warned by the police, by the judge, to never don her Catwoman suit again, give her a break, or if she does don her Catwoman suit, become Catwoman once again, she'll throw the book at her parent in jail for a good long time. So Selena, comes home, her cat Isis, of course, you find out that runs away. Selena starts looking for a cat. Bruce Wayne also, I forgot to mention, as I sometimes go everywhere in my videos, but Bruce, gets her out of prison. First he kind of wants a relationship, but she tells him, no, Bruce, I'm just interested in being friends, because she's pretty much in love with Batman. Although Bruce, thinks that she'll put on that Catwoman suit again. But she tries to feed these cats, and these kidnappers or catnappers try to attack them. Selena fights with them. Batman shows up, helps her fight them, and she ends up getting sent to jail, but like I said, out of prison because of Bruce. And so she decides to find her, put on the Catwoman suit, goes to find Isis. Isis is in this prison, well, not prison, the pound basically, and you find out that there's a guy named Professor Milo, who's doing testing on these animals, and if you get bit, you can get really sick. It's like a fever. She tries to grab Isis, but Isis bites her, and Selena's goes straight until Batman shows up. So, Roland Daggett, of course, is behind this, because Milo was working for him. But Milo ends up, him and his crew try to go after Batman. They send a dog on Batman, but Batman is able to find a cure. They go on ice. Batman almost drives an ass, but he gets the villains in there. He's able to take them down, of course, and save Catwoman. And at the end, he gives Selena, like in a basket, sends her cat back, and that makes her happy. And that was a good episode. In my opinion, it was good to see Selena Kyle come back. Great episode in my opinion, one of my favorites. Alright, another favorite of mine is called The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. This was Dr. Hugo Strange. Pretty much, there's this judge who, of course, she has a secret. You find out that Hugo Strange has this invention where he can look into people's minds and you find out your secrets. And when you find out your secret, he blackmails you, so you have to give him money. And he blackmails this judge. You find out that later in the episode that she accidentally, burned down a Gotham Docks building by accident when she was a child because she loved playing matches. So she's desperate to get that tape just to destroy it. But she just, gets passed out. Batman, of course, saved her. So Batman decides to go to this resort that she was at to investigate. Hugo does the invention with him and eventually finds out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And because of this, he brings Batman's three foes, that is Joker, Two-Face, and Penguin, to bid them money on it. And they're like, Strange better have a good reason to make it up. We're getting us all the way out here, Two-Face says. They don't watch this video, they decide to make a bid. And Two-Face tells Joker, you can't make that big clown, get out of my way, get out of my face. And Joker tells Two-Face, which one? And they're about to fight until Penguin calms them down by just holding his umbrella between the two. Bruce is investigating, going and destroying the tape and getting a tape on Hugo. And as they get ready to watch the video, he's like, I revealed the secret identity of Batman to y'all. And then, of course, it's him talking about his secret, Strange's secret of saying that he's going to rip those fools off Joker, Two-Face, and Penguin. And this makes them mad, He said, the wrong video! Penguin, shoots his, his umbrella at him, because he can make a umbrella out of a gun. And they basically grab Strange for his betrayal and decide to take him on the airway and kill him. Of course, Batman has to jump up and save him. Batman eventually does save him at the end. Hugo Strange ends up going to jail for the crimes he's committed. He says, Bruce Wayne is Batman, he's still Commissioner Gordon, until Bruce Wayne himself walks up. He's like, no, it's not true, no. But of course, it's Dick in disguise, just wearing like these wooden legs or whatever just to be taller. But overall, good episode, interesting episode, in my opinion. It was cool. I also want to see a Batman villain who eventually, I like Hugo Strange. He's an interesting villain. And I like that. I think he's probably like the only villain in the comics to, from what I heard, maybe, to find out Batman, to find out that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Which, that was also in Batman Arkham City, if you ever play that game. Yep. And he's also in Gotham, played by B.D. Wong. So. Alright. Next is Heart of Steel, Part 1 and 2. 26, okay. 10 p.m. Huh? The episode begins where a woman leaves a briefcase at Wayne Enterprises, and then you have this briefcase that turns into, that's a robot, mechanical limbs. It breaks into a safe, begins stealing microchips. And alarm goes off, alerting Bruce and the security to take him in. Of course, he goes in disguise as Batman to stop the machine, but the machine fires a rocket, gets away. Batman grabs his bat hand glider to chase it. The woman in the car, the road has a hand shooter, so shoots Batman down. He finds out that it was called a place called Wetware, and leads him this guy named Carl Rossum, who, of course, is a man that invents robots himself. Has this robot called Hordak. Has like a relatively camera eye. Bruce makes a date with his assistant, Ronda. And of course, Hordak, you can find out, is like the villain in this episode. Ronda is that woman that committed that crime to steal the microchips. Pretty much he thinks humans are weak, so I think Hordak has some sort of plan that humans are errors, need to take over. Maybe kind of like take over Gotham City, basically. That robots should be running it, at least Hordak thinks. Because he's free will thinking for himself, and he pretty much is, Hordak is mad. So, you also have Barbara Gordon, you see her in Bruce Wayne's office, Bruce Wayne had her, and of course she had like a stuffed bear, which, Jim Gordon, his face turns red. And there's a story, and Hordak creates a robot Gordon, and all this robot says is like, I'm fine. Just slaps the bear out of the way, and he's like, I'm fine, I'm okay, that's what he says. He just talks something like a robot, when he talks to, he sets Mayor Hill up or whatever, they turn Mayor Hill into a robot, like a robot version of himself, they just shoot you with an electric shot. Ronda goes on her date with Bruce Wayne, that won't matter. But eventually he goes as Batman. She knocks Alfred out unconscious, shocks Alfred, and she ends up going in the Batcave, finding out that Bruce is Batman, and the computer takes over, and at the end of the episode, the Batcave he's like, Batcomputer, and then it just goes crazy, and it just like, it's got like these claws that pick Batman up, and then that's the end of the episode. And then part 2, Barbara ends up finding that there's something wrong with her father. She has to go to Batman, telling him, there's something wrong with my father, Jim Gordon. That man might be Jim Gordon, like Jim Gordon, but he's not my father, I just know. And Batman said, look into it, and then Hoverboy shows up, just to wise off the Batman. That was like, I'm off here. And then he attacks Batman, just grabs him, and Batman fight. He nearly goes Batman out. But I do like it though when Barbara grabs Batman's bat grapple and shoots it out of his leg to pull him off, and ends up landing on the back center. But of course, it's not Harvey Bullock; it's just a robot version of him. But he gets destroyed by Batman. Barbara decides to go save her father on her own because she don't think Batman will do nothing. But she eventually is captured by Hordak. Eventually, the guy that leads it, he gets captured by Hordak as well. Batman eventually shows up. They confront the robots. They fight with them, and so those robots can be like spiders. They also try to get Bruce Wayne to join and become a robot. Bruce is being Batman, eventually gets out. Because Batman escaped. But at the end, they're all getting captured. Hordak, says that humans are weak and need to be controlled, but they decide to fight against him, and they pretty much destroy him. Ronda fights Batman. You see her robot face, side of her face being like a robot. Until, he's able to push her in, and the elevator destroys Ronda. And there we get when the blows up. And Barbara saved it. And overall, it was a good episode. It was cool to see that, a giant robot like Hordak, robots, wanted to take over the world or something like that. But it was an interesting episode, in my opinion, one of the best. The guy that voiced me, he was in Blade Runner. I think he was also in an episode of Knight Rider. The next favorite of mine is, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich? And this is the episode that you see the Riddler for the first time. Pretty much Edward Nima works for this company. He creates like video games and stuff, or games. He's just very smart. He's just a smart guy. Until, the video game, he creates the Riddler, the Minotaur. But until this guy, he's fired by his superior in a Mockridge, who wants to keep the power for himself, tells him, like, you're gone, you're out of here, and he asks him that question, if you're so smart, why aren't you rich, Nigma? And 2 years go by. After, because he wants to keep his project for himself, so he just, shoves him, just fires him. Or 20 years later, or 2 years later, or whatever, eventually Nigma becomes the Riddler, which is, of course, becomes the Prince of Puzzlers, who, commits crime by leaving riddles at the scene. But when Margaret comes to confront him, because he sees these riddles coming up, saying that it's Nigma teasing him, goes to confront Nigma, and he's in his Riddler costume. He's like, but now you face the Riddler, and they're gonna, maybe torture or kill Mockridge. Riddler, of course, has his goons or whatever. So, Batman and Robin show up. They fight the Riddler and his goons, and they eventually have to go to the monster game, which Robin knows a lot about. He puts, him in the Minotaur, there's something called the Hand of Fate if you cheat. So Batman and Robin have to, run in this giant maze, figure out, answer these riddles, and Riddler's like on the screen teasing them, Eventually, they would get out of it, but they don't capture Riddler. The Riddler escapes at the end, because he's on a plane and out of there, hijacks up out of there. Even though they feed him, Mario Show keeps to get all his money from the game, but of course he has to live in fear. You just see him have a shotgun, and Mockridge is just having a shotgun. He's just scared to sleep. He's on watch, just wondering if Nigma, the Riddler, is coming to get him. But it was cool to see the Riddler, and he was actually voiced by John Glover, who wasn't worked with DC before. Now he was in Smallville. He played Lionel Luthor. And he was in Batman and Robin playing Dr. Jason Woodard. Yeah, he's over the top in that movie, but I like him in that film. But I like him more as Lionel Luthor in Smallville. So, John Glover, great actor. favorite of mine is called Joker's Wild. You have Joker in the beginning in Arkham teasing Poison Ivy, calls her Pam, and she's aggravated by him. She just finds Batman on. You know, this guy in Cameron Keyser, he builds a casino pretty much is modeled after the Joker, and Joker's like, what? Joker can't believe it, so Joker fakes to be sick, and then he escapes because he wants to blow up this casino. You know, all these people are just up as Joker and Harley Quinn, and he goes up to Jack Tables ripping people off just to be funny. Eventually Bruce Wayne, he, you know, plays blackjack with Bruce Wayne, and Bruce says, oh, every time I see an ugly clown or whatever, and Joker's like, you know, getting mad. And eventually Joker plans to blow it up. Batman ends up finding out that, well, you find out that Keyser actually wanted to do this because it's part of an insurance claim, so he wanted to get money out of it, so he wanted Joker to blow it up. Instead, though, when Joker finds out his betrayal is going to put Batman in a trap and kill Kaiser himself until, you know, Batman arrives on a helicopter and takes Joker out, and Joker ends up back in Arkham, and Joker's like watching TV or whatever, turns it, and then you have you have Poison Ivy's Jonathan Crane and Matt Hatter saying, hey, we were watching that. But overall, Joker's Wild was a fun episode in my opinion. It was cool to see like a casino made out of the Joker saying, you know, the statue of him. But it was very cool seeing again Mark Hamill, always great as the Joker. Can't go wrong with him. Then another favorite of mine is Terror in the Sky. This is where we get the return. We get the return of Man-Bat. You know, Giant Bat, Lance Gotham Harbor, you know, is eating fruit, you know, and attacking people. Batman suspects that Langstrom is up to the truth that he might be taking the drug again, and because he comes home one night, Langstrom will just wakes up having a bad nightmare, and then, you know, sees all the fruit on the ground, he's like, what? And he's testing it, seeing if he's becoming Man-Bat again. Batman is suspicious too. This is where Batman is riding like a motorcycle throughout the episode, which is cool. You know, the Bat Cycle, which he's riding, which is awesome, because he has a chase with Man-Bat. Man-Bat tries to chase Batman on the Bat Cycle. You get some cool shots in there, but eventually the Batman gets destroyed by a train. Batman, you know, is able to find, you know, goes to Kurt Langstrom and finds out that Langstrom, you know, is not the Man-Bat, it's not his DNA. But you also find out that Kurt's wife, Francine, you find out that her father created more of Batman images, and Francine accidentally touched it, and of course, you know, you find out that, spoiler, it is Francine. She is the Man-Bat. You see her on a plane. She just, you know, starts to turn and becomes Man-Bat on this plane. Batman fights with Man-Bat a bit. As, you know, Man-Bat saves Langstrom and just, you know, goes at the war. Fights with Batman. Batman shoots the killer. She's a murderer, and it does save her. But overall, it was a good episode. It was cool to see that, you know, instead of Langstrom himself, it was his wife that became Man-Bat. I like that. That was a good idea. Yeah, that was different. Yeah. But overall, it was good to see Man-Bat once again. Underrated Batman villain in my opinion. Man-Bat was awesome. So. Alright, and then Almost Got Him. This is like one of the best episodes in the series in my opinion. This is where the criminals are heading out from the police, where you have, you know, in the club you have the Joker, the Penguin, Two-Face, Poison and Killer Croc gathering at a criminal stacked deck club, passing the time with a game of cards, and they pretty much talk about, oh, I'm the best, I got Joker, I got Batman the best. It was just, you know, cool to see all the, as you see in the picture here, all the villains sitting down. Poison Ivy shows up, Killer Croc is to flirt with her, and she kicks him, and then she tries to, you know, Killer Croc tries to say, hey, where are you going? And then Ivy kicks him again. So they decide to tell their story. Joker mentions that he defeated Mad Hatter. They just talk about Batman, that he might not be one person, or whatever. Because Two-Face thinks they maybe know. Then they, you know, Penguin says, Our friend said we're crime-related drama. Maybe his mother was, or someone shot him in the face or something like that. They want to tell stories of how they almost got him, how they almost defeated Batman. Other accounts that she on Halloween had these poisonous gas bombs, thousands of pumpkins, but Batman eventually, of course, defeated her. Two-Face recounts he made a stage robbery at a mint for $2 million, $2 bills. He makes a giant penny, which Batman ends up keeping in the Batcave. You know, Two-Face was going like, well, Batman, the coin says you're dead. And he puts them on this giant penny, saying, Batman, if the coin lands on the good side, on the bad side, you're dead. Good side, every bone in your body will break. So Batman hits, but Batman's able to get out of it because he steals Two-Face's coin. Two-Face is like, no, we gotta do this now. You know, try to start the machine, but Batman's able to get out of it. Every used coin get them and eventually takes Two-Face down with plenty of coins to take him down. Croc attempts that he threw a big right at Batman, but the villains, you know, don't really listen to him. Penguin recalls he turned the zoo into a home for dangerous birds. Power probably kill Batman. He sneaks in there, you know, tells Batman just to keep these birds to kill him. He escapes though, even before Batman gets him. And Joker eventually recalls his killing Batman the night before. That he captured Batman with the help of Harley, of course. And of course, that, you know, Catwoman showed up. Of course, Joker says, right now on TV, I have her right now. And he mentions that you find out that Killer Croc is not Killer Croc, that it is Batman in disguise. Batman's able to knock them out. And Batman goes to save is the cat food factory, which Batman, of course, goes to save Catwoman from Harley Quinn. Takes Harley Quinn down. Eventually is able to stop the machine from her getting killed. You know, so Harley Quinn's arrested. Batman and Catwoman told. Catwoman says, we could be in a relationship, you know, without masks, without, you know, crime. And Batman's like, well, maybe. Or something like that, just goes away. She's like, I almost got him. But overall, great episode. It was just cool to see Batman talk about how they almost got him. It was an interesting episode. I do agree Joker's story was the best. But awesome episode in my opinion. And then another favorite of mine is Birds of a Feather. This is where Penguin, you know, first he gets captured by Batman into Arkham, then he decides that he's going to change his feathers. Change his way, not be a criminal anymore. He thinks he's going to get a high class limousine, you know, because he's a gentleman, he thinks he deserves that, but he ends up on a bus with a bunch of freaks like him, and basically this woman named Ronda is looking for a way to create a splash for the next party, pull a joke on a criminal. And of course they choose the Penguin. She calls Penguin eventually, and you know, sort of goes on a date with Oswald, and you know, you have him eating fish, and Veronica's disgusted by it, doesn't find Penguin funny or charming, but she's able to kind of, you know, flirt Penguin a bit, and he just falls right in love with her, you know, protects her from these men attacking her, and somehow she seems to recuperate, maybe have feelings for Penguin herself. Penguin goes to this party, says jokes, and Bruce realizes that this is a mean thing they're doing to Penguin. You know, Penguin, you know, wanted to give her like a gift or something because he's in love with Veronica, so he wanted to change his way. But Penguin's over here. A guy named Pierce, I think the guy was, Veronica and Pierce talk about them playing this joke on him, and Penguin eventually captures, you know, kidnaps Veronica for money until, you know, he's like riding on a penguin right in the opera, you know, but Batman's able to take him out and defeat him, and he just gets mad, And she's like, well, if we were supposed to, I didn't like you. He was like, well, I wouldn't like your kind. Or just was so angry at the end. But overall, good episode. It was cool to see that maybe Pink could have changed. But of course, he still remains to be a villain. But it was a good episode in my opinion. And some of the feel sorry for people because they were making fun of him, which was, trying to make a big joke out of him, which I think was wrong to do to him. So, anyway, I felt bad for Penguin in this episode. I did. And then, what is reality? This is where you have Edward Nygma come out. Of course, Riddler's goal, he's not like Jim Carrey here, they're going to go, but he is a darker Riddler. He is, set out to involve that he is the superior mind, that he's the genius in the room. He gets his men to get rid of traces of him, get these files just to make him resist. Batman talks with Gordon about it, and he creates his first reality, which, because it comes in a giant box. They think it's a bomb, but Batman and Robin are able to get it out, out of the box. It's a game, virtual reality system, and Gordon goes in there too. You just put your head on it, and you're in this virtual reality, but Riddler captures him and is torturing him, so Batman decides to go through Riddler's traps, goes to the chess game, and, Riddler taunts him. And, it's like Red and Batman's costume changes. Barbara tries to help him out, but Batman eventually has defeat. And Malazan, he tries to break the rules, but Nimbo's like, no, Batman, and this reality I control it. Riddler makes these duplicates of himself, him and Batman fight, until Batman is eventually able to defeat him and get, him and the Commissioner out of there, and eventually they reverse it. But he's able to manipulate it, but, it makes, but the reverse reality breaks down, and it breaks down in Nygma's mind, so he's like, oh! They find Nygma, and he's like, But overall, really good episode, in my opinion. As you can see, him back in the virtual reality stuff, I thought was pretty cool. And Riddler was a great villain in here, so. And then another favorite of mine is called I Am the Night. On the anniversary of Bruce's parents, Batman Company's police films a crime alley, but he feels like he's not done accomplishing anything. Batman is really upset in this episode. He feels like he just hasn't done very much. Feels like he's not making a difference. It even gets worse though when a man called the Jazzman, Jimmy the Jazzman, who was out for Jim Gordon, they try to raid up. Batman doesn't show up because he's at the appointment in crime alley, like putting the flowers on his parents, and his kid, he tries to help, and his kid says something to him. The flowers get crushed, the rose, he leaves, where his parents were murdered. But Jim Gordon gets shot, and you don't see it, you just see him, down and out, and, he feels guilty about saying he's sorry, he wished that he could have been there, he's a failure, he completely failed, and the Harvey Bullock's like, it's gonna be me and you, Batman, one day, it's gonna be me and you, I'm not talking about just me and you, Batman, sorry, if I just sneeze, I'll walk away, but Batman, feels guilty, Dave's like saying, you can't be everywhere, but it's like, I became the Night, I became Batman, maybe I just can't do this, and we're like, and then takes off the mask, decides that he's just gonna quit being Batman. They found the Jazzman escape, and that Bruce, you can stop him. That's what Dave's trying to tell him. Fine, he goes at his Robin, and then Batman's like, no, Dave, this is mine. So eventually, Jazzman goes to the hospital, is ready to kill Jim Gordon until Batman, gets him, and he's going to shoot Batman. Shoot Jim Gordon, kill him until Batman, goes to battle ring, right to the gun's barrel. He shoots it, the gun goes to the wall, and he defeats him. But Jazzman had a vendetta who sent him, sent him to prison. But overall, really good episode in my opinion. And just one of the best. And then of course at the end of the episode he realized that he is the Night. He is Batman. Batman tells Gordon, I wish I could be here like you. He's like, you are here, Jim. You need to have that respect to have him. Because to Batman, his relationship with Gordon. Gordon is like a father figure to him because Gordon was there for him, I'm sure, when his parents died to comfort him. Yeah. So, yeah. But, and then another favorite of mine is called Off Balance. You have the Society of Shadows who are trying to steal this weapon. Count Vergo's tries to investigate this man about the Society of Shadows, but the man won't tell him no man of the Shadows are going to kill him. They throw him off the water, Batman fights them, but they, I guess, fuck their minds out or whatever, so they can just forget. You see Talia al Ghul, this is the first time we see Talia al Ghul. Batman, finds out, is at this castle. Count Vertigo, who steals this Wayne Tech machine. He has like this eye that makes you feel off balance, that makes you feel claustrophobic. Talia helps him. She helps Batman fight some of the criminals off. Cool shot of here, Batman taking one of the ninjas, taking one of the shadows down. They're trying to stop Vertigo. He traps them. Shoots them down, like downstairs or whatever. She takes off Batman's mask, knowing that he is Bruce Wayne. And in doing that, he puts them off. Count Vertigo puts them off balance again. But Batman is able to close his eye to sneak out to get all these traps. But he doesn't. He wonders if he can trust Talia to grab this weapon. That she convinced her father to protect him. That he's just a madman. They need to stop him. Vertigo, eventually he'll stop Vertigo, who thinks that it's possible that from die. He tries to kill him again. Use his eye to attack them. It's like this kind of like glass yellow eye he has that he can use to attack you, making you feel that way. But Talia and Batman decide, they're gonna ring bells, and Vertigo tortures his ears, and he falls off, probably to his death, I don't know. But him and Talia ever get the weapon, and Talia is like, and then she points the gun at him, and she's like, Batman's like, I figured you were that, because Batman, of course, was going to tell her. Like, I knew you were all this along, Talia. I knew I couldn't trust you. You were them all along. And she tells her father, which is Ra's al Ghul, voiced by the late David Warner, who I think passed away like maybe a week ago. David Warner passed away, but great actor. But in my opinion, this is definitely the better version of Ra's al Ghul. Not Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, this is a better version that we get. Christopher Nolan, But, Ra's talks to his daughter, telling her to use the weapon. Batman sabotages it. Batman says, this isn't over, Talia. And then Ra's al Ghul, she's looking at his face like, you're right, detective. This isn't over. And we won't see him for the rest of the season until Volume 3. But Off Balance was really good in my opinion. Then you have another favorite of mine called The Man Who Killed Batman. You have Sidney, the squid, who a man that wants to, be a criminal, be in the high criminal underworld. He becomes a look at what his cousin goes to rob or steal something or whatever. Batman tries to talk to him though. He nearly falls to his death. Kind of like he's tripping over Batman. He grabs Batman by accident, and you think Batman falls in this exploding tank, blows up, and you assume Batman's dead. He goes to talk to Rupert Thorne and tells Rupert Thorne about the story that Thorne can help him get out of town. And Sidney, though, said, you killed Batman. He has the cape and cowl, and everybody's happy. He killed Batman. He's the toughest man, because toughest man in the world, and this fight happens. And eventually he gets arrested after the cops show up. And Harley goes undercover, that Joker won't stop him, shake his hand. And they're like, I don't think Batman's really dead. So he tries to settle this crime. And I like this, that the Joker's like, well, Batman's not here. Without Batman, there's no punchline, there's no fun. So it's like, in a way, he has fun torturing Batman. Batman not there, Joker is just depressed. Even tells Harley, she tries to this jewelry, and So he was like, put it back, Harley. And because of this squid, Batman's dead. They have a little funeral for Batman. And I just love it. Mark Hamill was just hilarious. It says, and everything will be okay once we put that man into that coffin and into the bloody vat of chemicals right there, And then they pick him up and grab him. Harley plays me like, Of course, Batman saves him. He thinks it's a miracle. Of course, he comes to Thorn, and Thorn's like, think I'm stupid? You're just trying to catch in on my money. You're trying to kill me next? And then Batman shows up, use that bat around like a badass and stops him and knocks out Rupert Thorne. And Batman tells him that I traced you because I needed to know who involved with these weapons. So he's like, okay, we'll see you, Batman. And then he's like, no, you still gonna go to jail, Sidney. You still broke the law. But maybe you'll get what you want, And Sidney's finally praised for being a good criminal for nearly killing Batman. You see him walk in prison he's like, just what I've always wanted. But overall, good episode in my opinion. Alright, another favorite is Mudslide. You see the return of Clayface, who was falling apart, literally, because his body's made of mud, but he's stealing, going on to these science buildings or whatever, stealing technology. His clear body is deteriorating, so he's forced to steal to pay for the expense of the redeem that is until, this woman who I guess is in love with him, watches a movie of him. Batman investigates, a few times in the episode, Clayface goes undercover, as a police, and as the big boss, or as a boss or whatever, goes undercover as a copy takes down. Batman realizes that, and he's like, he's about to take Batman down to realizes he can't. Batman sees that he's falling apart. Even though Batman says he'll help him, but like, Batman, I don't need your help. Eventually he goes undercover as his doctor lady. Clayface and him, Clayface, undercover as his, the scientist lady. He starts dripping apart, and people are like, yeah, that's disgusting. He has a bitter fight. Training fight with Batman. Before he can take Batman down, Batman, has like this equipment where he's using with bad eyes or whatever. But Clayface just keeps on jumping out. Again, being Clayface, being his partner by mud, his cells will go back together. He almost succeeds at what he needs to do to Batman. He's like, no, you get help the right way. And he nearly kills Batman by putting Batman in his mud body, almost giving Batman a heart attack, but Batman is able to use that using his grappling gun. Just in the time, him and Batman fight out in the rain, and eventually, he tries to help Clayface, but Clayface probably falls to his death, or so it may seem. But overall, a really good episode in my opinion. Great to see you back. And again, you do feel bad for Matt Hagen for Clayface, because again, he just was a guy that was an actor. He just got into a car accident, ended up, dealing with the wrong guy, ended up taking this drug to fix his face, and of course, he got into this accident that turned him into a villain. So I can feel so much sympathy for him, and that he has to live like in this mud-like torturous body that he wants to become human again, become Matt Hagen again, and just is whatever it takes. Overall, good episode in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine is Paging the Crime Doctor. You have Dr. Matthew Thorne, who is of course the brother of Rupert Thorne, who Thorne gets his men to kidnap this medical weapon or whatever. Batman fights with them. They shoot Batman with this laser. Batman goes to Lisa Tompkins, and she takes care of him, telling him, just take a break, because she never listened to me. And you find out Rupert Thorne has, like a heart problem at his chest or whatever. He needs surgery, but he can't do it legally, because he's doing work without a license. So they decide to, he just talked to Leslie about coming to help. And of course, you found out that Matthew Thorne was also best friends with Thomas Wayne. He went to college with him, or something like that, knew him for a good while. way before, Bruce was even born, before Thomas, was murdered. So, but they kidnap her, they do this surgery, they decide they're going to kill her, as Thorne tells the man, before he went under to kill her, but Matt eventually tricks one of Thorne's men, stabs him with a needle, and they're able to escape. Batman, before Mrs. Stone's going forward dead, Batman shows up and says, I thought you take the night off. And Matt's talking to the cops at the end. And then Bruce comes to him at the end and said, Matt, he doesn't need any legal product from him. He's like, I just want one thing from you, which is what? Matt says, to talk to you about my father, Thomas Wayne. And he's happy to do it. Him and Bruce start talking at the end of the episode. But overall, great episode in my opinion. The character Matthew Thorne I thought was good. And it was cool to see Rupert Thorne, who I think is a good mob boss, good villain for Batman. But overall, really good episode and interesting in my opinion. Yeah. And then another favorite of mine is called Satana, she gets framed for robbery. You find out that Bruce knew her because he went undercover as named John Smith, where her father teach Bruce to be an escape artist or to sneak around or whatever. That's what would help him evolve his future of becoming Batman. But Satana, gets framed for stealing this money. Marjorie Kane, who sets it up. Batman finds out that likes the mirror. Batman goes to get Satana out of jail, and she's like, Batman, she's like, do I ever know you? Like, no, I just have that familiar face. They go to confront Kane, who puts them in a trap. It's kind of running the sister show where Batman is able to 2 pieces off and is able to get out of this trap. Batman gets out of this trap. Sorry. They go on his airplane or whatever, have a few fights with him. He tries to kill Satana, but Satana kicks him, kicks Kane, and Batman and Satana take on his men, take them down. Satana gives a good punch to Satana. She's a cute character. I like Satana though. I was over to Magic when I was a kid, but Magic when I was a kid, but I like Satana. She's a very cute character, so it was good to see her teaming up with Batman. Especially when he calls her Satana, you see that her and Bruce have a history, that maybe they had a relationship, who knows, or friendship, deep friendship. She's like, why do you wear the mask? Because it's a pain that happened all the time. We're like, can I give you a ride? And then she disappears, seeing him in another, saying, remember to write once in a while. And then Batman smiles about it. Just good to see his friend again, help her out. Good episode in my opinion. Love Satana. She's a good character. They should do a movie of her, I think. Because she has cool magic powers as well. So. And then the favorite of mine is the mechanic. The Batmobile gets damaged in a chase with Penguin's men, and they take it to a mechanic named Earl Cooper, who you find out, Batman kind of saved him from being in danger, and then Batman came to him telling him, return the favor, I need a car, so he becomes like Batman's mechanic, he's helping Batman and Robin by, fixing the vehicle. Penguin, is mad about this going wrong. This nerdy looking man comes to him and tells Penguin about he's got, these papers of the Batmobile. This does remind me of Batman Returns, because the Batman Returns, Penguin was in control of it. But unlike Batman Returns, where it didn't really make sense of how he got control of the blueprints of the Batmobile, this does make more sense because, he has the papers, and Penguin's able to track him down, and Penguin decides to eventually get revenge. He's going to kill Batman by they get out of school to play this trick, kidnap his daughter, threaten to kill Earl's daughter, if he tries anything. So, Earl complies. At first he attacks, Penguin's men. Like Batman returns, he's also showing Batman's vehicle, destroying the Batmobile until Batman and rubbing it on the hang gliders. And they take Batman down. They take Penguin's about to ready to, kill Earl's daughter until she, kicks his feet. And, Batman takes him down, and Batman steps on his umbrella. And Penguin's, loses. And Batman talks about him having a new car, because the Batmobile gets really destroyed by Penguin. But while Penguin's up in jail, he's screaming, license plates, and he sees, the Batmobile on. He's like, But overall, really good episode, in my opinion. Then another favorite of mine, this is the last episode of this season, Harley and Ivy. The Joker fires Harley because he gets mad at her. They go for a chase. She hits the Penguin with the wrong gun. Joker with the wrong gun. And Joker just... Joker throws her out. And, she just says she's going to do her own crime, so she tries to steal this diamond. And the alarm goes off, and you see Poison Ivy running. She wants Poison Ivy there to escape. And they become best friends. And Gotham is calling them the Queen of Crime because they start committing these crimes. Joker is upset, where's Harley? And then reads that she's with Ivy, and Ivy tells her to get over Mr. J. Is just get over him. You're gonna be a victim of your life, And they up these traps on men, saying, what, 2 women can't do anything? So they start committing these crimes. Batman tries to take them down until, Ivy, takes them with a plant. They're going to put them in poison water to kill Batman. Joker, Harley not being able to help us because she's, of course, still in love with Mr. J. Joker calls Joker. Joker's able to track her down. Walks in the building till Pam is able to, Poison Ivy takes him down. Harley and Ivy ready to get to escape. Joker and his men fight Batman. Joker shoots his machine gun. Batman's stop, and then he shoots no top, blowing it up, knocking Joker out. Harley and Ivy though get stopped by Montoya. Blake up, she eventually stops them, and then they get arrested and they're in Arkham. And she was I'll never trust a woman again. And then Harley and Ivy, are out doing plants, and Harley tells Ivy, I hope he still loves me. And she goes, plant in her face, slaps it in her face, which I thought was funny. And that's the end of that episode. Alright, now, I got a few okay episodes here, which I'm not going to be long on. These episodes I just thought were okay. This is not my favorite. Just a couple more, guys, and I'll be done. Alright, and my first okay episode is Eternal Youth. The first episode of Volume 2. This is where there's a day spa, Eternal Youth Health and Spa, that is actually run by Poison Ivy, who pretended to be a doctor. Well, you see here, shoot this lady with this plant weapon, turn this lady basically into a tree. Poison Ivy is doing this because she's accusing billionaires of destroying plants and murdering plants, so she has to get revenge. Alfred and Bruce, see this on the TV with the, this lady, Maggie. So Alfred and Maggie, Alfred and his lady friend Maggie end up going to this place, and they said, no, Mr. Wayne's no-show, and then Poison was like, well, someone's got to suffer from Mr. Wayne's crimes. So, Alfred ends up in here. Alfred, doesn't really love it at first, but she gives him the scream, and Alfred's enjoying it. And Batman thinks there's something suspicious going on about it. Alfred comes home. Batman comes home and he's out there fighting crime to the Batcave, and Alfred turns turns the Batcave into a garden. And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? This is do record, sir. This place can use more of a lighter touch." And Batman is just suspicious of Alfred's behavior. Alfred and Maggie talk again. They can't help it. They go back to the health spa, and Poison Ivy reveals herself, shooting them and turning them into rock stick until Batman shows up to Ivy and her women, two main henchwomen, to capture Batman. Batman's able to fight them off, fights Ivy. Ivy, of course, is shooting Batman with her arrow gun she has on her palm. Is able to shoot Batman down, and these arrows are sharp, so she's able to set Batman up. But Batman is able to, grab one of her poisons or whatever, throws it at her, and it makes it into a big tree, and eventually defeating Alfred. But I just thought the episode was okay. But that's just me. Then another okay is called Night of the Ninja. This is where a ninja is robbing Wayne Enterprises, and Batman shows his ninja to actually his equal combat. And who you find, Kodai, who you find out that he, of course, trained with Bruce a long time ago. Bruce, while becoming to prepare to become Batman, was training. So he is trained to fight, do martial arts. He just had to train himself to physically do this. But he can never beat Catwoman until he, Ted Coach has to steal like a scroll or whatever, and eventually he gets taken out and gets fired. So he wants revenge on Bruce. This is why he's doing this. Summer Gleason, the news reporter, finds out about this. About Bruce, spending summer in Japan, but they get kidnapped by Konijai. By Ken. Bruce can't really fight him like as Batman in front of Summer Gleason until Robin is like, slashes the paper with a bat wing, and this paper like covers Summer Gleason so she can't see nothing. So he's able to fight him as Batman. Eventually, though, Ken is defeated. But overall, I just thought it was okay. The whole thing with Ninja was interesting, but I just thought the episode was just okay in my opinion. Just not one of my favorites. Just really wasn't big into it. But that's just me. Then another okay episode is Tiger, which I think is a little bit of a bizarre episode. Selena gets kidnapped by a villainous named Dr. Emil Dorian, who's a comrade of Dr. Kurt Langstrom. He does this experiment on Tigress, hoping to have fun of me. He kidnaps Selena. Selena turns into a cat. Batman is able to find her on his island. Before Batman can make the doctor do anything, Tigress attacks Batman. Batman finds out they talk, so he's hunting Batman and Batman fight for Selena's affection. Until he found Tigress just innocent, that he was just created to be a monster. He wasn't really the monster. He just, it was really the doctor. And of course, Tiger tells him. I just really wasn't into the episode. I thought it was just kind of bizarre and a little weird. Selena becoming a cannibal. I thought that was a bit too silly. I just wasn't a fan of her. I just didn't really care for this episode. I just thought it was okay. Just wasn't into it. Just a little too bizarre for me. Another okay episode is called Moon of the Wolf. Kind of like American Werewolf in Gotham. If you ask me, you have a werewolf attacking a zookeeper. Batman investigates the appearance of the werewolf creature. And it's, Anthony Ramos, an excellent Olympic champion. Professor Milo, who was in the cat fever, turns him into the wolf, and the wolf gets attacked. Batman fights with his wolf, and eventually, the wolf attacks Milo. Milo does fight Batman, but Batman's able to take the wolf down and defeat the wolf. And the wolf either died, or you can say at the end, because at the end, though, Anthony Ramos people say, "Oh, he's gone, or he might be dead, or whatever. Or he used to live here. Everything got. Why you give it up for this?" I just wasn't into this episode. I just wasn't a fan of it, but that's just me. Wouldn't say it's terrible, just was not into it. And then one other episode, guys, and that is Day of December. This is where Ken returns this time. He kidnaps a student, of his master, Karatenga, pupil of his Yoro Sensei, and wants to bring Bruce over, doing that Bruce is Batman, because he wants to take Batman on. He wants to do this move that can, do in his chest to take him down. Bruce tells Alfred a story about the legend of Yoro Sensei, about the school, of how to do it. Since he passed away, he'll never know. But eventually, King gets the scroll, which breaks because the scroll has no secret. And he kidnaps Alfred to lure Bruce to him. Him and, Bruce's Batman, mask, and they fight. They take Bruce down. Then Ken decides, was over this lava because of this Bruce, out of respect, and lets himself die, I guess, in the lava. He's like, how did you feel? He's wearing a breastplate, so that's how he was able to do this move on him and take him down. But overall, it was an okay episode. Again, these episodes are just not for me. They're just not one of my favorites. Sorry. But overall, that's it, guys. Alright. 10:51. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, that was my favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series, Volume 2. Again, what I'll say about it, like Moon the Wolf, or Day of December, Night of the Ninja, Moon the Wolf and Tag, I didn't think those were interesting episodes. They're not for me. But overall, Batman Volume 2, there's a lot of great episodes. I like seeing Barbara Gordon here. I like seeing the Riddler in here. A lot of good episodes, like I mentioned, for Change the Dreams, I Am the Night, Robin's Reckoning. A lot of great episodes, Strange to Get Bruce Wayne. So many good episodes, though, in here. Harley and Ivy, the Cape and Cowl, Her Change the Dream. A lot of great episodes in here. But overall, this was a really great season. The animation looks fantastic still. For the 90s, I think it still holds up. Definitely great. I definitely enjoyed Volume 2 a lot. I enjoyed it as much as Volume 1. Volume 1 had just one terrible episode, which, I think Birds of a Feather was a better episode than I've got Batman Invasion, which I still think is the worst episode of the series, in my opinion. But Batman Animated Series Volume 2, great season, great volume, and I give it a thumbs up. And my rating for this is 4 out of 5 stars. So I definitely enjoyed that, Despite some episodes that I think that I didn't care for here, there was a lot of good episodes here. So, guys, tell me in the comments down below, what are your favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series Volume 2? So, let me know in the comments down below. And stay tuned. Stay tuned, because next, I will be giving my thoughts favorite episodes of Batman the Animated Series Volume 3. So, Volume 3 will be next. So, I hope you guys look forward to that. So, Batman Animated Series Volume 3. So, and again, my rating for Batman Animated Series Volume 2 is 4 to 5 stars and a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below, what are your favorite episodes of Batman Animated Series Volume 2? Tell me in the comments down below. And I hope you guys look next to the Batman Animated Series video on my thoughts as favorite episodes of Batman Animated Series Volume 3. Now then I'm going to stop though with this one. Because August 19th, a week or so, I'll be going on a short vacation, which is for a short time. But eventually I'll be talking about Volume 4 for Batman Animated Series. And then I'll be getting the Batman Beyond new TV show collection for that. So guys, stay tuned, keep watching, as always. I know I don't do videos a lot, guys, but because of work. But I'm not quitting YouTube. Just to let you guys know, I'm not quitting YouTube. I'm still staying here. I'm still sticking around. So I'm not going anywhere. So you always see a video from me. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good night. And thanks for good evening, good afternoon, morning, wherever you're at. And just have a good one. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Stay tuned for my Batman Animated Series Volume 3. My favorite episodes of Batman Animated Series Volume 3. So, stay tuned eventually. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.